And now I'd like to introduce independent agent with World Financial Group, Thomas Bass.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy to be here. Following the principle of know your audience, I know we have a broad range of professionals and business owners, potential business owners, et cetera, on the line. So try to design the presentation today with that in mind. So some of it may be very beginner-oriented. We'll be moving forward to some of the more advanced concepts, but keep in mind this is typically anywhere from a 2 to a 4 hour presentation. So I've condensed it down. We're going to shoot for that 30-minute goal, and we'll go from there. So everybody's ready? Just a quick little bit of background for myself. I'm a retired Air Force pilot. Put in just over 20 years. I retired in December of 2015. Met some individuals from Transamerica and World Financial Group at a military veterans function, and then ended up coming on board with the business. But just to add a little bit of flavor to the presentation, I'm also a small business owner as well with a private investigation firm here in town. So I'm familiar with the trials and tribulations, if you will, of owning your own business. So currently life and health license, and I'm in the process of getting my securities licenses as well. So what we do at World Financial Group and Transamerica is educate families, business owners, and entities how to build and protect their wealth, and we do that through education and introducing important financial concepts. So just a quick top off at the very beginning. The government basically allows us to put in 3 different buckets or categories of money savings over time. There's a tax now, tax later, and a tax advantaged category. As you can see from the slide, the tax now is a combination of all the different types of investments or returns that you can get that will be taxed in the year that the money is earned. The majority of people are familiar with these different categories, and then we move into the separate category of tax later. Have a combination of your traditional IRAs, annuity pension plans, SEP IRAs, which are just a subset of the IRA type programs, then 401ks, 403bs, 457, and thrift savings plan for the military. Now, these are the categories that you can do the pre-tax contributions. The money will then grow tax-deferred until the point where you distribute the money, typically from these at retirement, and then at that point the tax rate for the current tax time will apply, and the distribution is taxable. Then we have tax advantage categories. That's typically your Roth IRA, which most people are familiar with. You can see that the typical limits for that, depending upon some age-based catch-up options, anywhere from $5,500 to $6,500. They are limited by income, so you can only contribute if you have a certain level of income. But an important point to note that I'd like to bring up here is if you have a 401k for your business and you have elected to incorporate a Roth IRA option, a Roth option in your 401k, then you can actually contribute up to $18,000 regardless of your income limit into a Roth IRA through a business 401k. So even if you're a sole business owner or a multiple business owner or a large established business owner, you can have the option of going up to $18,000 for your Roth 401k contributions. And then the life insurance options, which people are a little less familiar with, and there's a lot of different education sources out there and a lot of different conflicting views, but we'd like to make sure people understand those. It has 2 benefits. One is the death benefit from the actual payout for the insurable amount on the policy. And if it's a cash value growing life insurance policy, there's a living benefit where you can reach in and you can access the cash over the course of your lifetime. You can either use it specifically for retirement or you can use it as a savings vehicle. The nice thing about the life insurance is there's an IRS tax code 7702 that basically says in a paraphrase form that proceeds from life insurance are not taxable. So the income that you would be putting into the cash value side of a life insurance policy, it is post-tax, but it grows, and just like the 401k or IRA Roth options, the distribution, when you take it out, is tax-free. However, it is not necessarily tied to retirement. So just a couple of quick points we wanted to cover for the tax now, tax later, and tax advantage categories. This is just another concept, the rule of 72. So everybody knows the earlier you start saving and the more you save, the more your interest will be and the more it will grow over time. We've all seen the charts where it says if you start saving into your IRA or 401k at 25 with X amount of money, you'll reach a certain goal by the time you're 60 or 65. But if you start saving at 35 or 40, you've really impacted your total savings over time. So that's easy to understand. What the rule of 72 brings to the table is a very simple calculation for how long does it take for you to double your money. So if you take the interest rate you're earning on your money, you divide it into 72, then it will tell you how long that takes for that particular source of income to double over time. So just a quick example of highlight at 4%. If you have $10,000 in the bank at 29 years old and you continue to earn that compounding, it will take 18 years for your money to double. Jump up to the 12% category. Now it's going to take 6 years for your money to double, and you can see the dynamic difference that makes. So that's why it's so important to invest and account for your business finances properly, because that return on investment, the return of your money working for you at the higher returns for the longer period of time can really be impactful to your long-term financial planning. So what we're going to talk about now is hitting the highlights for the business planning team. So if you want to meet your business planning team, then they're coming right up. The business owner, CEO, just a common term, but the business owner or the person in charge of the business operations should definitely be part of the team. You're going to typically have at least 2 or more identified individuals on that team. And ultimately, depending on the size of your business, it can range from a fairly simple matter to incredibly complex. So you'd be looking at the business appraisal expert, and we'll talk about why later, estate and business planning attorney, financial professional, life underwriter, and probably most likely a CPA, which many people are familiar with and probably use regularly. So the CEO of the team is whoever you are, the business owner, the business executive, that is the operations guy. You have to be involved with the team directly so that you can make sure they understand the requirements and desires that you have for your business. The estate and business planning attorney is going to be able to draft any kind of will or small corporation documents or continuation documents potentially for your company. But the more complex your business is, you need to make sure you're using an attorney that has the correct background, skill set, and experience. Because the last thing you want to do is have a great plan that you find out isn't a great plan. A life underwriter, we'll talk about in depth as we get later, or at least hit the highlights in depth, why life insurance can be such a key business element, how it can allow you to do a number of different things in the course of business planning, passing on the business to your heirs, surviving business associates, or internally just protecting each of the owners and the business itself from various obstacles that might arise in the course of managing your day-to-day business. A CPA obviously is going to be able to give you excellent tax advice. We give you a lot of information and education, but obviously anything in the tax realm you need an expert for. So the certified public accountant is going to be able to give you the up-to-date and most current tax law. And very often individuals like myself as a financial advisor will be working with a CPA, because a CPA may understand the tax law, but they may or may not have been exposed to various mechanisms that will let you access the tax law in the way that's most beneficial. Business appraisal expert can be very important because it's going to be something that as a business owner, you need to understand what your business is valued at so that you can use all of these other tools and plan appropriately for either transitions, sale, or in the event that the main business owner passes, how that process is going to pass on to either the other business owners or the heirs. And then the financial professional. Sometimes it's the life insurance guy. It could be your accountant. There's a number of different skill sets that are brought to the table by a financial professional. So it could be a standalone individual that focuses just on financial planning. So this team could be larger or smaller because you may be able to have crossover from the capabilities and assets different individuals bring to the table, and there may be a little bit of synergy because some of them are qualified in more than one area. So we're not going to go into a thorough discussion of the business organization styles. What we are going to do is just one slide real quick, sole proprietorships, partnerships. There's C Corps, S Corps, and limited liability companies. Your company, or if you're a future business owner, it can actually fall into different categories over time. You can make different adjustments. All of them have their specific pluses and minuses, pros and cons. So you have to address properly through this business planning model with your team, what is the best fit for my business? So let's talk a little toward the retirement and business professional planning model. Just like any organization or individual, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So why are you an entrepreneur? Why are you a young professional? Why do you want to be a business owner? Maybe you purchased it for an emotional or financial reason. It could be the social status of being a business owner. You want the freedom to be your own boss. All of these things come into play, the ability to have a potentially unlimited income. These are strong drivers for why you want to have the business, but as you have the business, what is your actual goal? So it seems like a lot of business owners ultimately are trying to go for financial security. That's why they opted to be a business owner. It's a very challenging sector and not necessarily something that everyone succeeds at, but ultimately you want to be financially secure both during your business owner life cycle as well as into retirement. So in a perfect world, your business becomes more valuable and grows over time, and then at a certain point you either sell the business for a profit or you use the business as you've created it to continue to fund your retirement planning in your retirement years. So ultimately, the realities of business ownership are somewhat questionable, right? So we all know that typically a large number of small businesses fail. Just quick statistics from 2011 breakdown. There were 409,000 plus new small businesses, so that's less than 500 employees, that opened in 2011, but in the same year, 470,000 closed. So having a business as your sole means of financial independence may not be the right choice. Diversification is always an appropriate path to take. And if you're planning on your business being the funding source for these long-term goals, you have to keep in mind, you're thinking you're going to be able to sell it at the right time, the right price, and under the right terms and circumstances to be able to do those things. So regardless of where you are in your business success story, you need to plan with diversification and have hip pockets both as your business and as your business owner. So you got to time the sale. Ultimately, the timeline that you have established for a sale doesn't always mean it's going to fall out that way. So depending upon economic status, what the current values are, how the business has been running in the past few years, what are the proceeds on the market conditions, and then the actual value of the business, getting back to that individual on your business team, you may have a lot of emotional value in the business, but you have to be basing it on the factors that really drive the bottom line at the end of the day. So if you're going to diversify, you need to be looking at varied and different asset management. And along those lines, we're going to be talking about a few of the following categories. So there are qualified retirement plans that your business is used to fund, and those are going to be tax-deferred growth over time. The non-qualified plans are typically deferred compensation plans that are going to reward select employees and basically can be used to supplement some of those qualified retirement plan options. And then the general investment portfolio. So as the business owner now, you're making the profits from the business. They're making profit-sharing options that you've structured within your company. Now that you have that money through the profit sharing or the business owner as a sole source flow-through, what are you going to do with it? What's your investment portfolio going to be? Because at some point you need to diversify out of reinvesting into the business to also investing in other things that are going to diversify your capability to be stable financially and have that retirement plan. So business owner retirement planning is going to be our next topic. So obviously you get into your business, you better be ready to go to work and work hard. You're going to have a lot of drive and energy to succeed. But eventually, everybody is going to be thinking about exiting the business, moving on to retirement, or looking at a sale so that they can pursue other pursuits. So the key part of this strategy at the end of the day is going to be either selling the business and living comfortably on the proceeds, or having the business survive you in such a way that it's providing retirement stability for you in the future. So it's a very difficult process to start a business, and while many business owners are going to be successful in starting a business and running a business, very few are thinking far enough ahead to be considering the successful sale or exit strategy for the time that they desire to either move into retirement or transition away from a primary force driving the business. So one of the theories that we suggest is, unlike a homeowner who's typically sprucing up a home right before they're ready to sell it, do a periodic look at your business. Do a periodic assessment. One of the reasons you're going to do this is the valuation will change. The capabilities of your business will change as it grows or shrinks, or you have a great year versus a not-so-great year. And then you can have the economic downturn. You can have primary business owners that end up having a health problem. They go through divorce. Worst case, somebody passes away. So is the business ready to be sold as it is at all times, so that you don't end up having the quote-unquote fire sale or liquidation of assets, which essentially is not going to guarantee you or your family or your heirs the best return on the business that you've created. So one of the things you need to focus on, because selling a business where you are so necessary that the business cannot function without you, is going to produce a lot of obstacles to a potential sale, unless you're planning on sticking around the business in some capacity, et cetera. So ultimately, you want to focus on building a business that's going to make you theoretically unnecessary. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be involved, but it does mean that you are not the sole source of all the relationships, all the connections, all of the sales connections that you have, and that your relationships you've established with your customers are not relationships that exist solely with you, but they also exist with the larger business. So as counterintuitive as it may seem, making yourself unnecessary to your business is a key factor in being able to prepare it for sale in the long term. And then you want a clear track record. Everybody wants to see good bottom lines. They want to see good book reviews. They're going to review income, expenses, et cetera. And doing all of these things properly is going to make the valuation of the business go up. And just like we just mentioned, all of these facets of your business, that annual health checkup is going to make it so much easier, one, for you to be able to be in a position to sell or expand or grow your business further, because you'll understand it very well. But it's also going to help you uncover any hidden problems that might be out there. So what do you need to do to change your business? Is your business model failing? Is it going to fail because something is disturbing the market? So make sure all these things are being looked at so that you'll have a realistic market value. And then as a business owner, you need to be thinking about how you're going to diversify for your retirement planning. So a lot of business owners, a lot of their net worth is in the actual value of the business. So if the business loses value, then the net worth of the owner loses value. So a more diversified approach is going to come from several of the different tools we're going to talk about now. So you do have your employer-sponsored qualified retirement plans. If you do not have a 401k type plan through the business, then certainly you should be looking at IRAs so that you're still making a retirement savings plan moving forward. Again, the Roth is dependent upon your total income, while the traditional IRA is available regardless. And then other employee benefits. So there are different ways that you can tie employee benefits into your business, whether it's for yourself as an executive or the owner, or whether it's for your employees. There are non-qualified deferred compensation arrangements. It may be stock options, or it may be something more like ownership options if you're not obviously a stock-based company. These benefits can help return and achieve your goals in the long run. So personal savings investment is always a key strategy. So outside of your business, that personal investment portfolio, make sure it's diversified and make sure it's clearly separate and apart from the business, so that if the business is unfortunately impacted by a downturn or economic situation, it doesn't directly affect the planning that you've done on a personal capacity so far. Now, even though we have all the concerns about Social Security, it is something that as business owners we're regularly paying into, as employees we're regularly paying into. So that is something you should keep on your radar just so you can understand where it is, both because it may decrease over time with changes to the Social Security program, but also because it nevertheless should still be a benefit that is present for you. And so the key to all these strategies is begin early and seek that professional guidance so that you're developing this plan in a way that is most efficient and effective for you. So all of these processes, even if you're not ready, say as a business with 5, 10, 15 employees, you may not be ready to offer a 401k plan. You'd be surprised at how efficient and uncostly those plans are. So doing the research and understanding it, you may find out that's something that your business could move forward with without any problem. So solutions to both the questions that you know you have as well as to the questions that you don't realize you should be asking, beginning early and seeking that professional guidance is going to be a great benefit. So we'll talk a little bit about life insurance in the business world. So in the business world, there's a number of important roles. So we know that there's different ways that we can impact our employees, business owners, and family members. A lot of businesses have group life insurance, for example. All of these things provide security and benefits to employees as well as business owners. If you don't have a business continuation plan, if you're a multi-owner business, it's very important that you do. But even a single-owner business, what is the plan to keep the business rolling? Whether you're the owner and the primary employee that's getting all the work done, or whether you're the owner that is controlling and managing, but you have several key employees, these are very important considerations to have for the sustainability and the continuation of your business. So if you have an employee or a business owner that passes away, one of the things you're going to be looking at is a buy-sell agreement for the co-business owners. What happens if, because one business owner passes, their interest in the company passes to 5 or 6 different heirs? Now you've got a huge new influx of opinions. You have a number of people that are going to be asking questions about the business. Or if you have a buy-sell agreement, the death of one individual will actually buy the interest of the company back from the departing member, and that way you can keep the company solvent, you can retain the ownership for the individuals that actually have the knowledge and the basis for the company. And those are just some examples of what could happen in the event of the death of the business owner for a buy-sell agreement. Key employee insurance. If you have a key employee, like we were discussing, that has your best salesman, your best relationship individual, there's a lot of capability that person brings to the table for your bottom line. You're going to have time, if that individual were to pass away unexpectedly, to train a replacement. It's going to cost money. There may be obligations because of some kind of benefits package to the survivors of the employee's family. So the long and short version is there's a concept of key employee insurance. Now you've actually insured that individual and is as the business and the business owner. You've insured the individual, so not only is the insurance going to help you cover the cost of finding a replacement, which may take time, but it also can replace during that period of time the bottom line value that employee was bringing into the business. There are also some key employee insurance options that will provide for some additional protections to the business that fall into a different category. We'll talk about that, I think, in a few slides. So very quickly, we talked about group term life insurance. There's some benefits to that, not only as a business owner, but for your employees, because happy employees are going to make the business more successful. The executive life insurance, there are a number of different ways to structure this. Whether the business owner or very important key members of the business are being paid through a process where premiums are paid into a cash value earning life insurance policy as kind of a bonus plan for them, or whether the money for the premiums that money is actually being paid to the individual who then pays into the policy. A number of different ways to structure this, but it is a potential bonus or benefits package to the owner or important key members of the business. Once again, and you'll see this several times, all of these options are certainly useful tools. They're well practiced in the business world, but you always have to keep up to date on your federal, state, local law, as well as tax law. So that's why you need that business team of professionals backing you up all along the way and making sure the structuring of your processes is effective and useful for you. So the executive bonus arrangement, we'll hit that really quickly. Basically compensating selected employees by paying the premiums of life insurance policy covering the employee's life, usually with a cash value, or, as we discussed, paying the individual the money that has been being used to pay that life insurance policy. So depending upon the specific arrangements, typically the employee may be purchasing it and is the owner of the policy, or the company is paying for it even though the employee is the owner of the policy. But the employer is not a beneficiary. There should be a written agreement in place defining this bonus or executive package and what the benefit of it is and how that's going to transition should the employee leave or, some other circumstance occurs. And then it needs to be very clearly identified, who has the tax liability or the package. We hit that pretty quickly. You guys can review this slide later if you have access to it, basically the points that I've already made. So key employee insurance, we're going to hit some highlights again. So like we discussed, an untimely death of a key employee or the business owner who is a key employee can really impact the business. You have to have a plan in effect. It can have multiple different effects on the business, as we see here with some of the bullets. Weaken the company's credit rating. There's going to be a financial cost to find, hire, and train replacements. And then obviously if it's a business owner and they were a driving force behind the business, you could have morale and other issues with your employees, and you want them to feel like the company's going to be stable and it's going to survive. So ultimately, having this type of insurance in place can definitely stabilize your business during this transition and hopefully, with that business continuation plan in place, result in a smooth and quick transition to a sustainable guidance force for your business if either one of these scenarios occur. I think that it also helps to mitigate, as we discussed earlier, if heirs that survive are actually in the will to gain ownership of the business. That's going to create some real problems unless you already have a clear continuation plan in place. If you do have a key personnel ownership scenario, then the lack of having the insurance in place could create a situation where you don't have the cash to buy out the interests of the deceased owner. And then ultimately, you don't want to have to either sell a portion or get into business with somebody that you don't even know if you're going to be able to work with or if they understand the business at all or not. So these processes all help mitigate those factors. All right, the business continuation plan. So what is it going to help prevent? Hopefully, it should be prevent, and you want this in place early, right? It needs to be a written agreement in place early. So it should prevent the heated conflict between remaining owners or the heirs. Hopefully, there will be no unhappiness or litigation, which is a costly factor in and of itself, because you already have the process identified and in place. If you don't have it in place, you're going to be delaying the settling of any estate, and the business is going to be in a limbo until that time because important decisions may not be able to be made. You could lose customers or business value, and then worst case is you actually have to liquidate because of litigation or some ongoing effect that you had not planned for. So that written agreement and the different facets that we've talked about, whether it's executive bonus plan, whether it's key person insurance policy, all of these things are going to tie in to help prevent you from having some of these issues. And you can see on the bottom bullet, once again, there's a value that is binding on the IRS for federal estate tax purposes. But also you need to know the value of the business and have continually updated this agreement appropriately to take into account your big business growth and changes over time. So at a minimum, that 1 year health checkup for your business is key to having appropriate plan in place. And the outcome of all this is, once again, if you have an agreement which is favorable to all parties, everything's going to happen much more smoothly. Draft it up, have it in effect, have it in writing, approved prior to any kind of a crisis generated. I see that we're running a little short on time. I think I'm pushing my limit, so I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit, and we may skip through a few slides. So the big picture is there's a bunch of different ways to finance key employee life insurance. You either have to have cash on hand, you might have to dip into a loan, et cetera, et cetera. I just wanted to hit once again that life insurance policies are often key to a business continuation plan, and you need to have a plan for how you're going to be paying for that in advance. All right. We'll go ahead and skip this slide. We've kind of covered most of that. This is really quick, just a example. The business may be paying the premiums to the life insurance company. The proceeds will go back to the business when the business is insuring the key employee for those purposes. So once again, in that case, the company would own the policy, pay the premiums, and the company actually collects the death benefit when the policy proceeds are paid out, again, to cover the cost and loss of that employee. Okay. You can go ahead and move past this one. This is just a really quick example where you can see a valuation of a company that's about $2 million, and you have three owners which have three different percentages of ownership. So how are they going to account for the situation when one owner might pass away? Well, there's different structures and different capabilities. The first one is a cross-purchase buy-sell agreement type plan. Each insured is insured to the amount of the valuation that they currently have in the company, and then they're insured cross-insuring to each other business owner for the appropriate amount so that they could maintain their ownership of the company in the event that something goes sideways. The other is the entity plan, so the actual company owning the insurance, such that each owner, assuming that they're a key employee that's driving capability of the business, is insured by the business, and the business is the beneficiary. So the business would have that cash on hand now to, in effect, replace the owner so that the other two owners would be able to continue without major disruption. Okay, go ahead and skip down. And this is the IRC code that actually covers some of the concepts we just talked about. We basically hit all of the major points for why you should value a business. It's to drive the appropriate packages for insurance, key personnel, et cetera. So we'll skip this one. And continue. Continue. And that kind of wraps us up. So I know it was fast and furious. Basically, any of these concepts are going to apply. If you're a professional that's considering owning a business, if you're a new business owner, or you are a seasoned business owner, there are many mechanisms and tools from a financial perspective that can protect you as the business owner, a key employee, and obviously some of these packages would apply to the entire company, so then it's actually assistance to your employees as well. All of these things help bring along the stability, and they give you mechanisms that from a financial perspective, you're going to be solvent for a lengthy period of time with a good continuation plan and a good exit strategy when you eventually reach that point that you're either passing the business on or you're interested in selling it for the appropriate value of the company. So I guess if anybody has any questions, we can field those now.
Absolutely. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat box in the bottom left corner of that screen, or press *7 on your phone to unmute your line. And if you think of questions afterwards, you don't have any right now, feel free to reach out to the Chamber. We'll get you in touch with Thomas, and you can definitely get it on that way. So I know we ran a little bit over time, but I think the information is really great, good for businesses, young entrepreneurs, and if we don't have any questions, which I don't see any coming in, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, all of our Chamber members, as well as Thomas and Transamerica World Financial Group for hosting this Chamber University webinar today, and we hope to see you all next week for another Chamber University. Thank you.
Thanks.